Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the channel. This is Old Fart Pokemon, and I'm trying to experiment with format, and I enjoy Pokemon, and this is going to be a little bit more loose, relaxed channel. I love Pokemon, but I also like talking to people about real life issues. Hopefully, in this channel, I can give you some a little more in-depth information nobody else is covering, really help you make better decisions. Really, life is a journey. We're all taking this journey together, and often it's the people that join us that make this a pleasant journey. I love Pokemon. I love I think I enjoy Pokemon, but I love the community. There's some very kind people, and I'd really like to give back to the community. So I'm going to be doing this. Will be a part one of a three-part series on how a person becomes wealthy. People ask, how do you become wealthy? And I'm like, uh, I don't know. I'm on my way, and hopefully someday I'll be there. But for right now, I just want to share, and these are all issues I wish somebody had told me 30 years ago, 40 years ago. My life could actually be quite different today. So this will be really a three-part series, and this is part one. People ask me, how do you become wealthy? And I'm going to kind of share. There are no guarantees in life, but really, if you follow this three-part series, it's going to significantly increase your odds of doing well, becoming wealthy in life. And finally, you know what? If you want true expert advice on a particular asset, don't ask an old fart like me. Go ahead and find a licensed financial broker. Talk to them. They can give you some expert advice. But I'm going to give you some generalities. Also, people say, you know what? I want to get rich, and my response is, I don't know what that means. To clarify, I do believe oranges are very rich in vitamin C. What I assume people are saying is I want to become rich in money, have a lot of money. I'm not talking about becoming rich, hitting the Powerball. What I am talking about here, I believe the way to accumulate true wealth, this is wealth, material wealth accumulated over time. So how do you do it? Let's go ahead and begin. I wished I knew this 30 years ago. First of all, let's talk about, okay, how do I even get started? Should I earn the money? Should I go borrow money? And first and foremost, you need to know in terms of borrowing, I separate it. Some people say all borrowing is bad, and I'm like, no. Leveraging can be a very powerful tool if done correctly. First thing you need to know, you need to separate consumption from investment. If you say, you know what, I'm going to go borrow some money, put it on the credit card to buy a large screen TV, I'll say no. I don't believe that's a smart decision. You don't want to borrow money for consumption goods. Try and live within your mean for consumption goods. Now, on the investment side, it may or may not be a great tool. And the answer is depends. I have two rules. First of all, for me, the line is 5% interest. If I see a potential investment, I go and check the bank. I can't get 5% or below, forget it. I will not do the deal. You talk about the super wealthy, the Jeff Bezos of the world, the Bill Gates. Part of how do they become very wealthy? They can borrow at 1%, 2%. So if you can find 1 or 2%, that'll greatly increase your probability of success. Second, I got to find at least 7%. You need that 2% gap minimum, otherwise it's not worth my time. I have had a few people say, I found a great investment, 10% return. And, I'm thinking about doing it, but the bank says it'll cost me 10%. Should I do it? And I'm like, wait a minute, think about this. Okay, so you're going to get paid 10%. You're going to pay the bank 10%. In reality, where's all of your money going? It's going interest. You're actually making zero. The bank's making 10%. They're saying thank you very much. So realize borrow can be an important tool, but be careful. If I can't guarantee it 7%, or if I'm above 5% on my loan, absolutely forget it. So realize, be careful with loans. Don't get overextended, but if used correctly, it can be a very powerful tool. Second thing I want to talk about today is really everybody wants a get rich scheme. Pokemon, Bitcoin, Dogecoin. What's my next get rich lottery ticket? This is not the way the real world works. The real world, you're looking at wealth over time. And my real key issue is don't think of yourself as an individual, think about a family. And often the reality is it takes 3 generations for a family, your family, to become wealthy. If you look at a lot of the immigrants that come to the United States, here's the issue. Many of them do very well in many ways. Immigrants are the new lifeblood of this country. What do we do? Especially immigrants from China, a lot from Mexico, a lot from India. What do they come? The Chinese, Indians, the oldest generation gets here. They open a Chinese restaurant, an Indian restaurant. They work hard. They just work away like crazy. What do they do though? Their kids go to college. They pay for their kids to go to college. Often I see them going to medical school, to law school. Second generation is very successful. By the time you get to the third generation, they can actually afford often large investments. You see apartment buildings, venture capital going into businesses, commercial real estate. They have all types of investments. You know what? They're doing very well. They listen to their parents. They've really passed this knowledge on down 3 generations, and by the third generations, yes, they're doing very well. Now for the most important point. This is the point of part 1. You say, well, how do I do this? And the point is, every time you make a purchase, the question is this purchase over the next 10 years going to go up in value, or is it going to go down in value? And we need to separate this. I call this consumption versus investment. So if I buy a lot of goods, let's talk about appliances, furniture, clothing, food, guess what? They're all going down. And I'm not saying don't buy them, but I'm saying know in your mind, if I buy a new couch, over 10 years, it's going to be worth $5 after 10 years. So when you're making purchase, always think, is it going to go up in value or go down in value? The problem is if I walk into most people's houses, there's very few items that are actually appreciating. Sadly, often you'll see grandparents pass away. What do the kids do? Either the kids have an auction sale, you can go buy new furniture, actually 30-year-old furniture for $5 a piece. You can buy a sofa for $5, $10 for the refrigerator. There's not much value. Or the other thing often I see young people do when their grandparents die is you go to the house, maybe there's 5, 6, a dozen things the kids take away. You know what? That actually has some value. Sometimes a coin collection, maybe a grandfather clock, maybe a piano. What do they do with the rest of the stuff in the house? Basically, they back up the dumpster and they dump it all in. A day's worth of 2 or 3 dumpsters all going to the dump. Why? It's not worth anything. So what do we need to do? Say, part of my expenditures each month, I need to find some things that will appreciate in value. Well, you think of the big things, let's say farmland, apartment building, that's what these wealthy people do, and you say, I can't afford that. No, that's way out of my league. I don't have any money. Let's talk about smaller things, much more smaller, that do appreciate in value. First of all, I love Pokemon cards, and I am a avid, I'll keep saying it, pounding on this channel. I buy packs. I don't open the packs. Why? 10 years, 20 years from now, sealed packs on average appreciate much faster than single cards. So I like Pokemon, sports card, Magic the Gathering, collectibles in general. Let's talk about coins, gold, silver, they all appreciate. Also other things, sometimes old fishing lures, if you know it, the old classics from the 1920s, 1930s, 1950s, classic fishing lures, guess what? They appreciate. And even like guns, because I don't like guns. Well, you're not going to really shoot them. They're collector's pieces, some of them. Old guns from World War II, doesn't matter if it's American, Japanese, German, going back to World War I guns, guns from the Civil War. Polish them, oil them well, lock them in your safe, leave them there for 20 years, or someplace where they're not going to rust. 20 years they're going to appreciate in value. Let's do just a simple example here. You've got $500. You can either buy a new sofa, or let's say a little case of 6 boxes of Pokemon card. That might be a little bit more. It's more like 600. Or a World War II gun for 500. I have no idea the prices. But you know what? You spent $500. 10 years from now, what's going to happen? That $500 sofa, what is that worth? Probably $5. What is the historic gun or the case of Pokemon cards? I'm going to argue it's most likely going to double. Or let's say some good gold coins or silver coins, any of this stuff, it will double in price over the next 10 years. So everything you buy, just put in the back of your mind, is this going to appreciate or depreciate? And even things like cars. Take an example. Let's say I'm making this up, spend $50,000. You could buy a brand new Suburban, or you could buy a 68 Camaro. I love 68 Camaros. What do? You drive the Suburban, the 68 Camaro, you put it in a heated garage, store it there for 10 years. 10 years from now, how much is that Suburban worth? $2,000-3,000. That Camaro may have doubled in price. Absolutely. So it depends on if you're consuming it or if you're saving it as an investment. Now let's talk a couple of different issues. First of all, you may say, you know what, yes, you're right, I want to think bigger. There's no way I could buy an apartment building. So you know what, I say start small. If there's a will, there's a way. See if you can find a single house. Maybe negotiate a little bit and get a single house. Start renting that out. After a couple of years, you develop some equity, do the sweat equity yourself. Then, after a couple of years, trade it for a duplex. Sell it and buy a duplex. Put some sweat equity in that. You build some equity. After a couple of years, sell it. Get a fourplex. Get some sweat equity in that, rent it out for a couple of years, and then you have some equity. You can use that equity to trade up to an eightplex. So it is possible. It's a lot of work, but it is possible for any of us to get started in real estate. And really, I've had some people tell me, you know what, I'm sorry. There is nothing, none of this is possible. I have absolutely no money. Actually, I'm up to my eyeballs in debt. I'm struggling here. Help. Well, I think there's a couple things, and really, I hate to give you bad news, but I will give you bad news. First of all, you need to make some changes. First of all, live within your means. If you're making whatever, let's say $2,000 a month, you know what? Live within that means. So you're not growing debt. It is still possible. After supper, what do most people do? They relax, they play video games, they watch movies, or go fishing or hang out with the dog. You know what? Go ahead and get a second job and work for 4 hours. Even at Walmart, every community has a Walmart Go. After taxes, you're at $10. So $40 a night, do 5 nights a week. You can have the weekends free. That's 40 times 5 is 200. Or 800 a month. Or if you look at a year, 10,000 a year. 10,000 a year. You invest it in Pokemon cards, sealed Pokemon, gold, silver. I'm not much in the stock market. For me, for the years, it kind of goes up, and all of a sudden, it's kind of it gently goes up, and then it's a hard down. So I'll tell you my bias. I'm not that much into the stock market. I like physical assets, gold, silver, yeah, and cryptos. I'm an old guy, just scratching my head. If some of you can explain exactly the crypto markets, let me know. I'm too risk adverse for that right now. But you know, even anything you enjoy, go ahead and invest in that if you have knowledge. Now, the final step, so I'm going to back up. 10,000 a year. You do that for 10 years, guess what? You have $100,000. If there's something you want to work at and all of a sudden you have an idea for a business, all of a sudden you see a great opportunity to invest deeper into Pokemon, $100,000 based on investment in it, all of that is appreciating time, so it'll be significantly more than $100,000. You have some equity to really jump into, whether it's real estate to farmland. I don't know the price of farmland or starting a business, but you actually have the capital then to begin your venture. The final thing, you say, well, 10 years, 20 years, that's way too much. What is the catalyst? What would I recommend you doing? Really, to speed things up, find something you love, you're passionate about, and become an expert. It might be Hot Wheels cars in the boxes. It might be Pokemon cards. There's so many different segments. Some people are into modern, some are into vintage. I love the E series. I absolutely love the E series, and I also really enjoy the middle. A lot of the just prior to the XY, a lot of the mid sets. I love them. I don't have any of them, but again, so find an area that you love. Work hard, you become an expert. You know, the old saying, knowledge is power. So when you go out, you get your paycheck at the end of the month from Walmart, you have some money, you spend some time. Don't buy the first thing you see, but wait and watch. Actually, you can get some paper, record prices, write them down. Part of what I'm going to be doing on this channel each week is showing Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood. Is the price rising? Is it falling? And you know what? So some other people saying, you know what, it'll be interesting to see after later this year the 25th anniversary set. After that comes out, will the hype fall? And that might be a good time to be picking up Pokemon cards. Or you say, you know what, I'm just going to buy one sealed box of every new box that comes out of Pokemon. And you know what? You're going to have some hits and you're going to have some duds, but you know what? You're in the market, you're participating. So the next time, 5 years, 10 years from now, even maybe next year, maybe this rally continues, but next time we have a rally 5 years from now, boom, all of a sudden boxes go up to $2,000-3,000 a box you paid $100 for. Wow, you are in the money. But again, doesn't matter what, if it's fishing gear, if it's Pokemon, do your research. And with that, you know what's going to be hot. A lot of you know the Pokemon market a lot better than I. You know this set's going to be hot. This other set's going to not really do too well. But you know what? In the long run, if a set sells a lot fewer copies, think back to Skyridge. I love Skyridge. Most people at the time wanted nothing to do. What a horrible set. Now it's one of the most expensive sets in Pokemon. Do your research and really have a long run focus. And you know what? It doesn't hurt to enjoy the game. If you enjoy fishing, you might become an expert at fishing plugs. You love Pokemon, then go ahead and you're investing. Also, you're enjoying the cards. So part of it is a passion. Find what you're passionate for. Spend time researching. And you know what? You will speed up this process. I'll talk about Rudy. I have a world of respect for Rudy with Alpha Investments. When was it, 2017, he started his channel. What is that, 4 years ago? And now he really is the center of the Magic world in terms of knowing what's going on. He has made more money than most people make in a lifetime in 4 years. So you become an expert, you work every day at it, and over the long haul, you will do quite well. And again, this is not getting rich, this is not overnight, but you will see your wealth accumulate. And over time, over a decade, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, guess what? The wealth starts to accumulate. Now, what's my issue? I started accumulating, about 2 years ago. And you know what? I really wish somebody had told me 40 years ago. Start today. You know, even if you can only afford one box. If back in the day, if all you could afford was one base set booster box or one first edition fossil or jungle set box. You spent $100 on it, you put it aside. Today, what would you have? Tens of thousands of dollars. So be patient and look long term. And really, the key for this first part is wealth accumulating is in terms of looking at each asset, actually everything you buy, is this going to depreciate or appreciate in time, and hold on. If it's going to appreciate in time, don't sell it, keep it, and over time you're going to start accumulating assets that are appreciating in value, and you'll find after time your wealth has growing. You're starting to accumulate some significant wealth. So this is a key point of part one. Figure out in each thing you're buying, is this going to depreciate or appreciate in time? We're going to do the next two parts over the next 2 weeks or so in this little series on how to become wealthy. So look forward to seeing you next time. Again, if you like this channel, share with your neighbors. Go ahead and subscribe. I really appreciate that. Helps the channel. They say often the first 100 are the most difficult people to start a channel. After that, it starts to get a little momentum. So if you like my content, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to try and put out worthwhile content that nobody else is covering. If you don't like it, go ahead and click the button down arrow two times, and that'll also trigger some YouTube algorithm. Thank you for your time. You guys have a good night and have a super week. Thanks for watching. Bye.